When we look at a three-dimensional object, there are no lines. There are no lines anywhere. What we are seeing is changes in light. We need light and dark to work together to tell our brains that we're looking at something that has dimension. Now, the interplay between light and dark tell us two things, and those two things are all we need to know. They tell us if there are changes along a surface, and they tell us when that one surface changes from one to another. So think of it this way. If we have pure light, everything is super bright, we don't see anything. We are blinded by the light. At the other end of the spectrum, we have pitch black. If everything is pitch black, we don't see anything either. So these are the two ends of the spectrum, and in the middle, we have the interplay between light and dark. And that interplay tells us everything we need to know. But there are no lines. So if you think about how like a wall intersects at a corner, it might look like a line. The change in light might be really super sharp, but it's still not a line. It is a little tiny shadow where one corner or one part of a wall changes direction and intersects with another wall. You know what I mean? Okay, okay. But, so I'm saying that there are no lines in anything that we're looking at. But how do we draw? We draw with pen and we make lines. That's how we draw. So it's all good. Don't panic. But this is what I want you to start thinking about now. Because just what I was saying before about, doing art to increase our brains and for, to keep us, learning and all that kind of stuff. We're at that point now because we've done enough artwork where we are gaining a better understanding of how things work and these deeper concepts. And now there is room in our heads for this deeper understanding of how light and dark work together. So when we are sketching with pen, making our lines, what I want you to start thinking about is that you're not actually drawing a line. What you're doing is you're adding a little tiny shadow to your drawing. That's what you're doing. And when you think of it in those terms, all of a sudden you can view your work with a different mindset. If you are working on one particular surface, the only thing that you can add to your white paper is a little shadow. So how and where do you want to add those very subtle changes in light to show that that surface is changing? Okay? Now, if you're doing something like a floral piece and one petal is in a different position, like different place to another petal, say one's on top and the other one is behind, we have a change in the surface. How do you get across the idea that that surface has changed from one petal to the next? You do that by adding a little shadow. And that little shadow that you add to your sketch shows that one petal is on top and the other petal is behind. See what I mean? So like everything comes down to the interplay between light and dark. There are no lines. What we want to do is get those ideas, that variation in light into our sketch to bring it to life and give it dimension. Okay, so every you know, like every piece of blank white paper that you start with already has your sketch in it, right? You just have to add like the little bits of shadow to bring it out. So don't ever be afraid of a blank piece of paper, because like that's silly. Okay, so that's kind of like the concept that I wanted to get across. There are no lines anywhere in three-dimensional objects that we are looking at. There is no such thing as a line. It's true that we draw with pen, making lines, but now in the back of your head, I want you to start saying to yourself, I'm not drawing a line, I'm adding a little tiny shadow to my sketch. And this will help you reframe in your brain what you want your hand to do. And I'm hopeful that it will also help you bring more dimension to your work. And if it doesn't, well, that's on you. Okay, so I'm Elaine, and we'll see you next time.